This is Fieldsports Channel News. A Norwegian photographer has posted a video of a protected sea eagle that's been killed by a turbine. Leni Harbach says the bird was found at one of Europe's biggest wind farms in Afjord on the 1st of May. She accused the Norwegian government of not caring about the eagles and not listening to critics of wind turbines. A recent estimate of bird deaths from wind turbines in the United States alone puts the number at more than 1 million per year. The National Trust policy of banning muir burn made last month's Marsden fire worse, says a former newspaper editor. More than 100 firefighters, a helicopter and gamekeepers from nearby estates battled the blaze in the Peak District. As we reported last week, the National Trust thanked fire services but ignored the contribution of local keepers. The charity says it is assessing the loss of precious habitat, according to the Times. The paper quotes the former Daily Telegraph editor Charles Moore, who says the Trust and the RSPB's joint campaign against the controlled burning of heather on moors created conditions for wildfire to spread because there are no longer any fire breaks. North Wales police are investigating after an osprey nest was vandalised. The nest at Llynbrennog was cut down with a chainsaw. It was being used by a pair and the female had recently laid an egg. Locals are shocked and the police are appealing for information. The UK's gun licensing system is trying to catch up with a new trend in modular firearms. Home Secretary Priti Patel has released amended rules saying that from now on, all serial numbers or identifying marks on barrels, bolts, magazines, receivers, stocks and other parts must now be recorded on gun certificates. Until now, the rules only ask for one serial number. The new rules do not, however, address whether a gun owner needs to apply for a variation in order to replace a gun part that does not alter its calibre. A Hunt saboteur has been convicted of common assault. On Wednesday the 28th of April, Central Kent Magistrates Court found Anthony Robinson, of no fixed abode, guilty of common assault against a Hunt supporter. The assault took place near Edenbridge in Kent on the 5th of November 2019. Robinson was fined £180 with costs of £325 and a victim surcharge of £32. Meanwhile, former Jed Forest huntsman Lee Peters has been found not guilty of hunting after claims by Scottish Hunt SABs. The Sum Up contactless payment system has cut off a shooting range owned by an Olympic gold medalist. According to Richard Foles, owner of Owls Lodge Shooting School near Winchester, the range was given virtually no notice that Sum Up would no longer support its business model. The payment company says its terms and conditions list shooting sports in the same category as terrorism. South Africa plans to ban breeding lions in captivity. The controversial captive bred lion, or CBL industry, supplies big cats to petting zoos as cubs and later in their lives to hunting areas. There is also a trade in lion parts to the Far East for traditional Chinese medicine. A government-appointed panel of mainly animal rights supporters recommends slaughtering the estimated 8,000 CBLs, about a quarter of the world population, leaving just 3,500 wild lions in South Africa, mainly on hunting ranches. Lion breeders say the remaining wild animals will now attract poachers supplying the Chinese medicine market. Environment Minister Barbara Creasy told reporters, "We don't want captive breeding, captive hunting, captive petting, captive use of lions." Instagram has disabled the account of Safari Club International board member Britt Longoria. The social media company shut down the renowned hunter's account after complaints from antis across the world. SCI called the ban a deliberate attempt by big tech and anti-hunters to de-platform and silence hunters who promote sustainable and ethical hunting. An African hunting organisation says bans by Western countries is the same as taking food and water from people's mouths. President of the Namibia Professional Hunting Association, Deneen van der Westhuizen, says her country has few resources other than wildlife, so the impact of bans on trophy imports are devastating to the economy and people's lives.
It's absolutely devastating to have international restrictions like hunting bans, or even just the ban of the importation of trophies into country, or even as simple as an airline that refuses to fly firearms. It's literally taking food and water out of people's mouths, because in Namibia we are completely dependent on it. And it's so sad that people don't understand that we all want the same thing. We all want a better wildlife. We all want a better habitat and the survival of the species.
US Fish and Wildlife Service caught a massive sturgeon in the Detroit River. The 6-foot 10-inch, 240-pound whopper was snapped with a member of the river conservation crew on the deck of their boat before being released back into the water. It's thought to be 100 years old. China is allowing hunting and shooting again. Following a temporary ban in the wake of the COVID pandemic, a hunting safaris operator is offering pheasant shooting in Baoxi, Western Shaanxi province, in the centre of the country, and is also running English sporting clay shoots with traps supplied by UK trap manufacturer Bowman and clothing company Shooter King. And finally, an otter with expensive tastes has eaten thousands of pounds worth of koi carp. CCTV captured the otter eating the fish that it's caught in a garden pond. The initial prime suspect had been a local heron before the camera captured the brazen otter in the act. The pond's owner installed safety nets and protective wiring over the pond in Edinburgh, but they proved no obstacle for the greedy animal. And you can see a fox waiting for the scraps. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stuck in the stories, fishing for facts.